In the dimly lit room, a heartbroken Damien knelt, gently holding his daughter Juliet's lifeless hand as tears streamed down his face. The young sorceress, Pomeranion, watched with wide, innocent eyes. Tugging on the night hound's cloak, she asked her uncle why that man was crying. The night hound quietly explained that it was likely because of a mix of gratitude, sorrow, and love. Confused, Pomeranion asked why someone would cry if they felt gratitude and love. Thinking those feelings should bring happiness, the night hound simply told her it was a complicated emotion she would understand as she grew older. After a moment, Damien stood up, his face still sad but with a new calm. He turned to the night hound and Pomeranion and offered his sincere thanks to them both. He said that thanks to them, he was able to do his duty as a father one last time. Dismissing any need for more words of thanks, he said they were not necessary. Instead, the night hound held out his hand, his eyes glowing through his mask. He reminded Damien that there was something he owed him. Without hesitation, Damien knelt before the night hound. With his head bowed, he solemnly declared his oath, promising to give everything he had to the night hound. Looking up, with a look of firm determination in his now purple eyes, Damien told the night hound to ask for anything he wanted. The night hound's answer was simple and chilling, as he demanded the neck of his target. With his red eye glowing with a murderous look, the night hound stated his one price for the favor. He wanted the head of Bartholomew, the current head of the bourgeois family. In a quiet gazebo overlooking a moonlit garden, a secret meeting took place. Damien de Bourgeois stood with the night hound, and our boy introduced the third person there, Dolores, who he explained was an ally who would be helping them. Damien greeted her formally as the Saintess of Quo Vadis, noting that they had not met in such a serious way since the University League quest. Dolores, shaking Damien's hand, replied that the honor was all hers. She was still in disbelief that they had actually managed to get Director Damien as their insider, secretly wondering what could have happened to make him turn against his own family head. Wasting no time, the night hound got straight to the point, his red eye glowing. He declared that the reason for their meeting was to create a plan for the assassination of Bartholomew, the head of the bourgeois family. Damien, his expression grim, told them that he had already made the necessary plans. He explained that he had used his trusted people within the family to spread rumors about the Oracle Club's incredible success, knowing it would catch his brother's interest. The plan was a success. As a result, he had managed to get a dinner appointment with Bartholomew himself. The word shocked Dolores. She asked if he meant that dinner, the one she had only heard about in rumors. Damien confirmed her suspicions. It was the infamous Dinner in the Vault, an exclusive and legendary experience that only the most important people in the Empire were ever invited to. He began to explain the details of the vault. The bourgeois family has a bizarre vault, a massive 50-meter cube with unbreakable walls made from mithril or a similar metal. This vault is a true iron fortress, completely sealed off from the outside world by powerful anti-teleportation magic and filled with mountains of gold and priceless treasures. Finally, Damien revealed the most important piece of information and the key to their plan. Bartholomew has a strange habit. Whenever he has an important meeting or meal, he always has it alone inside this vault for exactly 1 hour. Thinking about this new information, a bead of sweat ran down Dolores's face as she realized what it meant. An entire hour, completely cut off from all outside eyes and ears, was the perfect undisturbed chance for their plan. However, she quickly raised a good point. She asked Damien why Bartholomew would ever put himself in such a risky position, questioning if he wasn't worried about being assassinated while locked alone in the vault with a guest. Damien crossed his arms, admitting that while it was a logical fear, he had strangely never seen his brother show any concern about it. Before Damien could explain more, the night hound interrupted with the chilling truth. He explained that Bartholomew felt no fear because he was a demon who possessed absolute power. The news stunned Damien, who began to question what he had just heard. The night hound interrupted him, handing him a rolled-up document. He told Damien to not worry about that for now, and to focus on the plan. The plan was for the Night Hound's team to confront Bartholomew inside the vault, while Damien's crucial role was to assist them from the outside. The Night Hound leaned in, emphasizing that Damien's part in the plan was the most important factor in ensuring Bartholomew's defeat. As Dolores looked at the document, wondering what it was, and their expressions turned into pure, total shock. Stuttering in disbelief, Damien realized that this plan was much bigger than just the bourgeois family. Dolores came to the same horrifying conclusion. If this plan was carried out, it could bring the entire empire to ruin. The scene then shifts to the day of the dinner. The wheels of a wooden carriage creaked as it traveled along a dirt road toward the bourgeois estate. Inside, Piggy and Sinclair were talking excitedly with Dolores. Piggy was almost bouncing with joy, saying he still couldn't believe their Oracle Club had won first place in the investment tournament, and now they were on their way to have dinner with the head of the bourgeois family. He said how incredibly excited he was. He turned to Sinclair, asking if she was excited too. With a bright smile, she enthusiastically agreed. However, her happy expression soon turned a bit sad. Looking out the window, she quietly added that she wished her young friend Vicure could have come with them. Piggy looked confused, asking Sinclair why she had suddenly brought up Vicure. Sinclair explained that Vicure had once promised to visit her family's home, which surprised Piggy even more. Seeing his reaction, Sinclair quickly took it back, saying it was nothing and that she just felt a bit sad because Vicure seemed so busy lately. Piggy agreed, adding that he had also found it hard to even find time to share a meal with Vicure recently. Suddenly, as if remembering something important, Piggy's attitude changed completely. He excitedly unrolled a long scroll, proudly announcing that he had prepared a full list of questions to ask the head of the bourgeois family. He began to enthusiastically list off the topics, which ranged from serious economic questions about the empire's future to a more simple question about what the super-rich even eat for their meals. As Piggy and Sinclair chattered excitedly, completely unaware of the real reason for their visit, Dolores watched them with a quiet, sad expression. A wave of guilt washed over her as she thought about the danger she was leading her innocent friends into. She thought to herself. As their carriage pulled up to the gates of the magnificent bourgeois estate, the massive, ornate gates swung open and the three students were led inside. They walked into a lavishly decorated waiting room, their eyes wide open with awe at the sheer luxury of their surroundings. A well-dressed man with dark hair, acting as their guide, politely told them that they should wait there for a moment. After Dolores thanked him, the man bowed slightly and told them to make themselves comfortable before leaving. While waiting, Piggy and Sinclair made themselves comfortable in the fancy room. Piggy commented on how luxurious everything was, saying that the sofa alone was 100 times better than their beds back at the academy dorms. Sinclair agreed, noting how comfortable the cushions were. Then Piggy excitedly asked Sinclair if she had thought of any questions to ask the head of the bourgeois family. Sinclair replied that there was just one thing she was curious about, but she couldn't say what it was. Her quiet answer only seemed to energize Piggy more. He jumped up, arguing that this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to meet the wealthiest man in the empire, and that they should be trying to gain as much knowledge as possible. As her friends continued their innocent chatter, Dolores looked down, her face a mask of guilt and stress. Clenching her fist, she steeled her resolve. Unseen by the others, she discreetly took out a small vial and poured its contents, a sleeping potion, into a nearby pitcher. She knew that she had to make sure her friends were fast asleep before the dinner began, to keep them safe from the danger that was to come. Her thoughts were interrupted when Piggy suddenly wondered aloud if Bartholomew would like the gifts they had prepared. He suggested they open the boxes to make sure everything was in order. Panicked at the thought of them discovering what was really going on, Dolores lunged forward, shouting for them to wait. Piggy and Sinclair stopped, completely startled and confused by their vice president's sudden outburst. Quickly composing herself, Dolores placed a tray with 3 cups of tea on the table. She told them that she would check the gifts herself and that they should drink some tea and rest for a while. Her smile was forced, a clear sign of the immense pressure she was under, but her friends, still a bit confused, timidly agreed. A short time later, after they had finished their tea, a sudden and overwhelming wave of drowsiness washed over both Piggy and Sinclair. They began yawning and stretching, wondering why they were suddenly so sleepy, especially right before the long-awaited dinner was about to start. As the sleeping potion took hold, Dolores watched her friends with a sinister smile, a sense of relieved success. Sinclair, still fighting the effects, yawned and said she needed to get some cold water to wake herself up. Just then, the dark-haired guide returned to the room, asking if they had rested well. As he entered, Piggy finally succumbed to the potion and fell fast asleep on the sofa. The guide announced that the head of the family was waiting and it was time to go to the dining hall. Seeing the two unconscious students, he asked what had happened. With a nervous laugh, Dolores quickly came up with an excuse, explaining that her friends had been very nervous and tired and had fallen asleep immediately after drinking some tea. Internally, she apologized to them, knowing that this was the only way to keep them safe. She then informed the guide that she would represent their club and meet with the family head alone. The man accepted her explanation without question and agreed to lead her there at once. Dolores followed the guide down a long, sunlit corridor. Behind them, two workers pushed handcarts carrying the large wooden crates that contained their gifts. They finally came to a stop in a much darker, more imposing part of the mansion. Before them stood a pair of enormous, intimidating metal doors. The guide announced that this was the place. A bead of sweat trickled down Dolores's face as she stared up at the massive structure, realizing with a chill that this was the infamous vault. As the colossal doors began to creak open, a terrifying thought crossed her mind. It was as if the sheer size of the entrance was a warning, a declaration that these doors were never meant to be used by ordinary humans. As Dolores stood at the entrance of the massive vault, the guide informed her that she would have to go on alone from that point on. He added that the gifts they had brought would be placed there for safekeeping. Stealing her resolve, Dolores understood that the being she was about to face was as strange and intimidating as the very doors before her. With a final chilling wish for her to enjoy her meal, the guide stepped back as the colossal doors began to swing shut, leaving Dolores to face her fate alone. Plunged into absolute darkness, she nervously looked around the vast empty space and called out, tentatively asking if the head of the family was there. As she took a cautious step forward, her foot slipped on something scattered across the floor. With a small cry, she lost her balance and tumbled backward, landing hard on a pile of what felt like small, metallic objects. Sitting up and rubbing her sore hip, she wondered what she could have possibly tripped on in the dark. She picked up one of the objects and realized it was a gold coin. Just as she was examining it, a brilliant, blinding golden light suddenly erupted, lighting up the entire chamber. Bathed in the bright glow, Dolores could only stare in wide-eyed astonishment as the source of the light was revealed. The entire immense vault was filled with literal mountains of shimmering gold coins. In the very center of this sea of unimaginable wealth sat a single, long dining table, elegantly set for a feast. Dolores, still sitting on the floor amidst the treasure, was left utterly speechless by the breathtaking and overwhelming sight. A deep, commanding voice broke the silence, welcoming the saintess. The speaker, a large, powerfully built man with a long blonde beard and regal clothes, held a glass of red wine. He then corrected himself, addressing her instead as the representative of the Oracle Club. This was the man they had come for, Bartholomew J. Bourgeois, the head of the Bourgeois family. This video ends here. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel.